Hello, I'm reviewing the Sonic movie from 2020 that got delayed and had a. It was supposed to come out in 2019, but got delayed for an entire year because they had to make the improvements on the Sonic design. And with the serious comedic tone, is definitely was for the better that they changed the Sonic design to seriously changed it, give a serious makeover that's more closer to a source material. So, and that's all I'm going to talk about science design. Now I'm going to talk about the plot. And just want to say the CGI is a little unpolished in the first opening, except with, and everything the CGI feel looks unpolished except the CGI on Sonic. Which is probably most of the budget went into polishing the CGI and giving finished touches. So Sonic comes from this other world. I don't understand why people say on the online that say they didn't make Sonic an alien when they technically did. He's just from a different dimension, and he's an alien from he's kind of an alien because he's from a different dimension. So okay, he's not really in, but he's kind of like. He is technically, I say that technically counts as an alien. Just not a, really full out sci-fi alien like you usually see in movies. So he came to Earth because he was stripped from his home because he was being careless with his powers, and his parent figure who was taking care of him had to take him out of his dimension while she gets executed by the people who was hunting Sonic, supposedly, off screen. Gets executed because the portal closed, and these rings this power-ups, and the video games, and the Sonic video games, and in the movie, there are portals. And he has only a limited amount of them, and he's been. Anyway, he was a kid when he was when he was pulled from his home, so he been living on Earth, and now he's in his teen years. And Sonic's really depressed because he doesn't have any friends, or he doesn't have any friends. He just hangs out all alone. And stalks on the neighborhood, and then so Sonic's basically depressed Sonic, and is lacking this cocky attitude that he has in the video games and he's known for, because he's so depressed, and because he feels alone because he doesn't have any real friends in this world. Because he needs to stay hidden so that way he doesn't get discovered and gets experimented on. So, but by the end of the by the third, when it gets to the third act, when it's the last few minutes or 15 minutes of the film, he gets a friend because Tom, who he's been hanging out with, who's been going on this entire road trip to find the rings in San Francisco, because how it got there, because Sonic got tranquilized by Tom, so it's completely his fault, because he has no idea how to get from San Francisco or the directions. He tries heading west, but then he goes too far into west to supposedly the West Pole area. Because it basically says he went west, but he went too far into west to where it's really freezing cold and blizzardy, and he almost drowned in ice cold water And so Tom agrees that he'll help him out. So they go on the road trip again, and then Sonic almost dies by explosion. And so he goes to, Tom brings Sonic to his girlfriend's house, and this is when Tom's a wanted fugitive, so for being a terrorist, because he was framed because Dr. Robotman came up with this giant lie to call Tom a terrorist, because Dr. Robotman got punched like a little bitch by Tom in the face. So now he's a wanted fugitive, and Sonic's not one because the world doesn't know about Sonic yet in this entire film, except the neighbors, except the people in the town and Springfield. And because he's this crazy guy reversed to him, kind of this crazy, very observing, obsessive guy that's bit of old manish, looks like he's in his scenarios, calls him the Blue Devil. And everyone thought he was crazy until they discovered that Sonic's really real. And Tom and his girlfriend are the most surprised that the Blue Devil was real, and it's actually a hedgehog. And the reason why we know that he's a hedgehog because Sonic claims he's a hedgehog. And he also claims that his name, and he announced that he's a hedgehog just from a different dimension. And that his name's Sonic to Tom. And then he has explained the whole crazy batshit adventure that Sonic dropped on him, and what they've been going through to get the rings and not San Francisco. Oh no, they're not from San Francisco. They're going to San Francisco, but they live in this little town where Tom wants to go to become a real deal cop, a legit cop to actually help people, and he's willing to leave his family behind, as in his girlfriend. And Sonic finds out that he's mad at him because he thinks he has a perfect life, because he kind of does, because he doesn't see what's more important than helping the ones you love. What's more horrible than helping the ones you love? Sonic sees it that way. And Tom understands what he's saying, but then they get kind of Eggman, Dr. Robotman ruins the moment by shooting some sort of arrows in the car. And they get attacked. Sonic takes down this giant robot, and Tom and Sonic use too much to take down little robots. And by using teamwork, and by the time we get to San Francisco, with the help of his girlfriend, Tom's girlfriend, he says goodbye. He shares his heartwarming goodbyes with Tom, and he understands why he's leaving. He comes to understand why he's leaving, even though it might not be easy, because he's got to chase after his dreams, and it might not be easy going for leaving all the ones he loves at home. And Tom actually says says in his own way, it's a little hard, but gives a very vague description, as in weak description, so it's to not make it too emotional moment. And Tom decided that he wanted to help Sonic because he always wanted to help people in a life or death situation, so he gets that chance to be a hero, to live his dream as a hero. And he helps save Sonic's life not once but twice in the film. And so Tom, when all this huge chaos is happening to Sonic, and Sonic's pretty much left for dead, looks like he's left for dead, and basically a corpse by now, he decides to still risks his life for Sonic, and then he says it looks like Sonic's still not moving, so we all assume that Sonic's dead. Even though it's not really the end of the film, but it looks like he's not breathing or moving or not even twitching at all. So Tom confesses that makes a confused confession that Sonic was his friend, and that inspires Sonic to wake up and push on forward and kick Dr. Robotnik's ass, and save the day. So Sonic goes on absorb all this Sonic. You see all this blue energy coming off of Sonic, and he's all lit in blue, and he takes away Robotnik's power that is allowing him to keep up to be as fast as Sonic by using this, some sort of telekinesis by getting it back from the Sonic's DNA back, so that he can kick the shit out of Robotnik and send him to a different dimension, which where Sonic was going to be heading, where a bunch of mushrooms and it's completely deserted, an isolated environment, all this giant mushrooms. That's where Sonic was going to be headed, and that's where he was going to be bailing. And I love the scene when he checks everything off the bucket list that he wants to do before he kicks the bucket and dies. And he literally he made like a million things on this one little piece of paper, and he crossed every one of them off in one night, except for one thing, which was make a real friend. But he does it when he makes a real friend, and because he made a real friend because throughout the entire 3-act structure until the 3rd act structure of the film, Tom kind of was in denial about being friends with Sonic, and so he doesn't because I don't know. But by the 3rd act, he opens up his fans and admits to Dr. Robotnik that Sonic is his friend. And that's why he would really put his life on the line for him. Because he makes this great speech about how he makes this really great speech that feels also very organic. He says that Sonic knew about more being about human than Robotnik will ever know, and that is why he is his friend. And Sonic just kicks the shit out of Robotnik and sends him to this other dimension. And Robotnik is in another dimension, alive and well, and Tails comes to the dimension that Sonic's is in, and saving up to the sequel, which is hinting out the sequel that Tails is going to play a big part, and they're going to see a return of little Bogman in the sequel, and Robotnik finally has his crazy long mustache and his shaved bald head, and he's getting a gut, just like the video games. And also every adaptation when we see Robotnik. So he looks more like his signature look, which I'm glad that he did that. And weird thing is, as soon as he gets to that signature look, that's when Jim Carrey starts being funny Jim Carrey instead of awkward, embarrassing Jim Carrey, which he is throughout the entire 3rd act structure until the mid-credit scenes when he shaved his head, because he says my grasp on reality is very strong. It's not like Agent Scully, and he's talking to a rock. Like, he seems to be actually convinced that Agent Scully is that Rock is actually alive, and it's really Agent Scully. I don't think Robotnik doesn't even be aware that he's losing his mind. So So, and that's another thing we're going in the video game. It's kind of a bit of a fruitcake, but funny. And doesn't really have a good restaurant finale. So it kind of like you always get that feeling, but this kind of push. This is kind of like genius how they did it. How we went to horribly bad acted, horribly miscasted Jim Carrey, who's not even trying to be funny, but we're supposed to believe that he's being funny. Because it's every time when he's on screen, I want to punch him in the face. And I'm glad he got punched in the face twice by someone that has more comedic time than him, which is Sonic and, well, Tom. And it's weird because Jim Carrey used to be really funny in the early 2000s and late and mid 90s and early 90s. But somewhere also he just his source material turned to shit for some reason. And his comedic source material turned to shit for some reason. And here, oh my god, it shows badly. This is the worst Jim Carrey performance I have ever seen in my life. If he's in the sequel more often, he's got to step up his source material. Because my god, it is shit in this. So, yeah. So, what happens to Sonic? Well, he lives at home with Tom and his girlfriend now. And they took him in and they took him in like a little family member. And they basically kind of adopted him illegally. So, they have this room that looks just like his room that he was living when he was living in a cave. Because they somehow moved all the stuff he had in the cave into the attic and made it into a cute little room for Sonic. Sonic is in love with it and he's so touched by it. It's actually more touching than when the girl gives him his signature shoes from the video games, because he's never gotten a gift before. No one ever gave him a gift before. So, in his life, I'm guessing. So, because that's what he's basically saying. So when he got these signature shoes, and he got rid of the old raggy ones that were just have holes in the bottom, and got these brand new signature shoes from the video games. He was very touched by it, and the little girl gave him it, who is Tom's girlfriend's sister, who has kids, and that's who the little girl's kids belong to. So it's a very touching moment, Sonic just loves the heck out of the shoes, and he loves the heck out of the room because he's very touched, because he was so happy that he was thought of and finally got some attention. So, he starts acting like the sarcastic, egotistical Sonic from the video games in the third act, once Tom admits that Sonic is his friend. It's because that snaps him out of his depressed state that he's been in for the 3-act structure. And because we saw that he wasn't, because he acted like the sarcastic, egotistical Sonic when he was a kid, until he was stripped from his home and had to live on Earth for years and years. So I guess he just got all lonely and isolated. But by the third act, when Tom actually admits that he is his friend, that snaps Sonic out of his depression, and he gains a serious amount of he really gains his true potential of his power, and is able to easily control of it. And he makes a speech. He says to Eggman, Dr. Robotnik, That's fine because he's also called Eggman because Sonic nicknames him Eggman. You know his name is Dr. Robotnik in this version of Sonic. So he says to Dr. Robotnik, "This is my power, and I'm not using it to run more. I'm using it to protect my friends." And he kicks the shit out of Robotnik and sends it into a completely different, isolated dimension. And somehow they're going to bring Robotnik back for the sequel. Somehow, we just don't know how. And it's unclear that we know Tails is looking for Sonic, but it's unclear if he's looking to Sonic on the friends side, like in the video games, or if he's looking to destroy and gain Sonic's power, because he sees Sonic as an enemy, and then in the sequel, by the third act structure, he will be his friend through bonding. Or if he sees Sonic as a frenemy who was a friend, but then saw him as enemies because something happened to both of them. And so it's unclear where Tails' motivation lies, which I really like to see where he stands in the sequel, if he's in the sequel. And either bring Funny Jim Carrey to play Robotnik again, or have someone else that can actually be funny in the sequel of Sonic to play Robotnik, because his comedic timing was shit, and it was so cringeworthy to watch, like, and it's like, and then you feel like there's a part of you dying inside of cancer. Like, his comedic timing is worse than Pauly Shore from Biodome, and he's also worse than Flash from Justice League, his comedic time, which I thought before was the worst comedic source material you ever seen. And Flash from Justice League was worse than Pauly Shore from anything, even in stand-up. But here, they taught the shit level. They really done it, because he is worse than both Flash from Justice League and from Pauly Shore from anything. Because holy crap, they make Jim Carrey so unlikably funny. Which I'll admit, I'll give him credit for buying to be obsessed nutball and the free act structure, but he's not quirky. He's just obsessive and nutball and creepy, like creepier than Bill Cosby, pedophile level. Not his comedic level of Bill Cosby, although the rapist pedophile called Bill Cosby, not Bill Cosby's comedic source material. But somehow they made that less creepier than Jim Carrey in this film, because oh my god, he sucked like the bad in this. It was horrendous. I mean, a better way to describe how much he sucks in this, it's worse than having a rotten tooth when you just have to use one teeth. The dentist just yank out the rotten tooth, but in the meantime, you just have to suck it up, even when all the rest of your teeth are perfectly fine. That is Jim Carrey's performance in a nutshell in this Sonic the Hedgehog movie. It is basically as bad, or if not worse, than a rotting tooth. And overall, I'm giving this a 10 out of 10 because it really did got to me when Sonic actually snapped out of his depression, because all he wanted was a friend. And I also got something very touching when another thing that got to me when they took Sonic again, like he was Tom and his girlfriend's kid, and they basically sort of adopted him. And Another thing about this, what I liked about this, what I found fun, that the government that was looking for hunting Sonic wants to have brunch with him, but they said they haven't seen Sonic since the incident and haven't been getting contact with him because they just want to hog them all to themselves, Sonic all to themselves, and Robotnik has been wiped clean from the government records. So when he returns to soon come across as a weirdo to all the government because he's been wiped clean from the government records. So it's kind of funny. That's kind of funny in a way. Anyway, I give this a 10 out of 10, right, Dan?
Yep.
Okay, that's all.